Jean-Claude Van Damme, the name that once echoed through the golden era of action films, the man whose kicks could split the air like lightning, whose charisma made him a global icon, and whose strength inspired millions. At 64, however, the story of this martial arts legend takes a deeply emotional turn, one that reminds us that even the toughest warriors face battles that no one sees. But before we go too far, welcome to the channel if you love true Hollywood stories that move your heart. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and honor legends like Jean-Claude Van Damme by keeping their legacies alive. Because this story, this one, will make you see the muscles from Brussels in a way you never have before. He was once unstoppable, the face of 80s and 90s action cinema, a man who rose from humble beginnings in Belgium to global superstardom. Movies like Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Universal Soldier, and Time Cop turned him into an international sensation. He was the dream muscle, discipline, confidence, and charm, all rolled into one. But fame, as it often does, came with a price. Behind the spinning kicks and cinematic glory was a man quietly falling apart. Success gave him everything he thought he wanted: fame, fortune, and adoration. But it also fed the darker parts of his life: loneliness, pressure, and the unbearable weight of expectation. As years went by, the spotlight grew harsher. The roles started to fade, the calls from producers slowed down, and the man once seen as invincible began to feel invisible. Jean-Claude faced battles off-screen far greater than any he fought in front of the camera. He struggled with failed relationships, personal demons, and moments of deep reflection, asking himself what it all meant after the applause stopped. Yet, even in the silence, even in the pain, he never stopped fighting. He trained harder, spoke openly about his struggles, and faced the truth with the same bravery that once defined his career. The tragedy of Jean-Claude Van Damme isn't one of failure, it's one of humanity. It's about a man who gave the world strength but was silently searching for peace. His story isn't over. It's just evolved. And as you'll see, what happened to him at 64 will make you realize that even heroes bleed, but it's how they heal that defines them. Stay tuned, because what comes next will touch your heart. As Jean-Claude Van Damme reached his 60s, fans began to notice something different, not just in his appearance, but in his spirit. The once fiery, unstoppable action star now spoke softly about life, love, and regrets. He started to reflect on his past with a mix of pain and wisdom that only time could bring. "I was chasing fame, but I forgot to chase happiness," he once said in an interview. Those words hit hard because, for so long, Van Damme's life was about proving he was the best fighter, the best actor, the best version of himself that Hollywood wanted him to be. But behind the fame, he was fighting battles no one saw. The martial arts legend struggled with mental health issues and bipolar disorder, something he later opened up about publicly. He described how his emotions could swing from the highest highs to the lowest lows, a war inside his mind that fame could never heal. The man who looked like a superhero on screen was, in truth, human like everyone else, vulnerable, emotional, and desperately trying to find peace. The industry that once crowned him king slowly turned its back. Younger stars replaced him, blockbuster roles dried up, and the glow of Hollywood dimmed. But Van Damme didn't quit. He never could. Instead, he turned inward, focusing on what truly mattered: his family, his health, and rediscovering who Jean-Claude really was beneath the fame. He spent time reconnecting with his children, especially his son Chris and daughter Bianca, both of whom followed in his footsteps in the entertainment world. Watching them succeed gave him a new purpose. Still, as he entered his mid-60s, life threw him another heartbreaking challenge, one that would test not his body, but his heart. Jean-Claude's health began to decline quietly, far from the spotlight that once adored him. Decades of intense training, stunts, and physically demanding roles had taken a toll on his body. His knees, back, and joints, once the instruments of cinematic perfection, began to give out. Friends close to him say he sometimes walks with pain, though he hides it with his trademark smile. The muscles from Brussels had always been a warrior, but even warriors grow weary. Yet, what hurt him most wasn't the pain in his body, but the loneliness that often came with fame. Despite his global recognition, Van Damme revealed that he often felt isolated, misunderstood, and trapped by the very image that made him famous. "People see me as a machine," he once confessed, "but I'm just a man who wants to be loved for who I am." Those words revealed a side of him few had seen: a vulnerable artist behind the tough guy exterior. In recent years, he's spoken openly about his struggles to find balance between the discipline of his martial arts training and the emotional chaos of his personal life. He turned to meditation, nature, and spirituality, seeking peace away from the fame that once defined him. His Instagram posts became reflective, filled with gratitude and wisdom, but even as he found moments of calm, the shadow of aging and regret loomed. He started to speak more about legacy, about what he would leave behind. "If my movies made someone believe in themselves, then I did my job," he said in a touching interview. "Those who have followed his career can see it. The fire is still there, but softer now, burning with experience rather than ego." In the quiet moments of his later years, Jean-Claude Van Damme often reflects on the price of his success: the sleepless nights, the broken marriages, the time lost with his children. Behind the confident kicks and powerful screen presence lies a man who has endured more emotional battles than most could ever imagine. He once admitted that his rise to fame came too fast, too hard, and that he was not prepared for the loneliness that came with it. The fame, the money, and the admiration were thrilling at first, but they came with a cost. Trust became rare, love became fragile, and peace became elusive. Those close to him say Jean-Claude has become more reflective, more spiritual, and more open about his pain. He spends his time now giving advice to young actors, urging them to take care of their minds and hearts as much as their bodies. In one interview, he tearfully admitted, "I gave everything to the world: my body, my soul, my energy, and sometimes I wonder if there's anything left for me." It's a haunting confession from a man who once seemed invincible. But even in his heartbreak, there's a lesson that even heroes have limits, and even legends need healing. Despite the sadness in his story, there is also beauty, a reminder that the strength of a man is not only in his muscles, but in his ability to face pain, learn from it, and keep going. Jean-Claude Van Damme's story is no longer just about the kicks, the fights, and the glory. It's about redemption, wisdom, and the courage to grow old gracefully while holding on to the spirit that made him a legend. Today, at 64, Jean-Claude Van Damme stands as a living legend, not just because of his martial arts mastery or his Hollywood fame, but because of his incredible resilience through pain, loss, and self-discovery. He has come face to face with the consequences of his past, the mistakes, the heartbreaks, and the isolation that fame often brings. Yet, in his maturity, he has found a new kind of strength, one that doesn't rely on physical power, but on peace, forgiveness, and self-awareness. Gone are the days when he chased perfection and approval from others. Now he seeks balance, love, and inner calm. Fans who meet him describe a man who is humble, gentle, and deeply grateful, a far cry from the action hero who once dominated the big screen with fiery intensity. Still, there's a sadness in his eyes, a quiet reflection that speaks volumes. He knows he's not the same man he used to be. The muscles may not be as sharp, the moves not as fast, but his heart is stronger than ever. Through the highs and lows, Jean-Claude Van Damme has taught us that even when life breaks you down, you can rebuild wiser, softer, and more human than before. His tragedy isn't just about what he lost, it's about what he found along the way: peace, purpose, and a deeper understanding of himself. And as he continues to share his story with the world, he reminds us that true power comes not from fighting others, but from conquering your own demons and choosing to live with grace. As Jean-Claude Van Damme reflects on his 64 years, his life feels like a movie filled with triumph, heartbreak, redemption, and wisdom. He has faced the kind of pain that no camera could ever capture: the loneliness of fame, the weight of regret, and the battle within himself to find peace after decades of chaos. Once celebrated as one of the world's greatest action stars, the man who dazzled audiences with lightning-fast kicks and unshakable confidence now carries the scars of a lifetime spent chasing perfection. Behind the fame and fortune were sleepless nights, failed marriages, and the struggle to stay true to himself in an industry that often rewards masks over authenticity. Yet, through every fall, Van Damme has found the strength to rise again. He turned to spirituality, fitness, and gratitude to reclaim his life, proving that redemption is always possible no matter how broken one becomes. His story is not just that of a fighter on screen, but of a man who fought his own shadows and came out stronger. Today, when he speaks to his fans, his words are filled with compassion and hope. He reminds us that success means nothing without peace of mind, and that every scar tells a story worth sharing.